Now, can you tell me a little bit about what you learned yesterday?
Um, in Act 1, it was when Antonio had come back to Italy from France,
Yes,
and it was his conversation between him and Delio,
yes,
and he was explaining the French court
mm,
how like it's good at bringing the state and the people closer together,
yes,
but then also it's filled with a bunch of people who
yes,
just say yes to the king all the time, but they don't actually tell him their opinion. And the king wants people who will look out for his future and stuff,
yes.
whereas the people he has right now
Okay.
just want to impress him and please him.
Mm,
And that's why it's kind of like when he has all these people, he's poisoning it by the head
mm,
and it's ruining the whole court.
mm. All right. Okay.
Um,
That's it. Okay. Okay. Good. Very good.
oh wait,
Yes. Do you want to say something?
wait, no, someone was calling me, so I was just talking to them. I'm sorry.
Okay. 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 I'm going to share the screen now. All right. So yesterday we left here. Yesterday we were doing these were the lines by Basola. Okay, so I'm just going to read these lines. He and his brother are like plum trees. Okay, now what was it? Actually, the conversation was going on between here there was the cardinal. Initially there was the conversation between cardinal and Basola. So cardinal was ignoring Basola, and then as the cardinal left that place, so there were Antonio and Basola. So Antonio had asked Basola like what happened, how was the behavior, or what did the cardinal say to you. So now Basola is uh, giving his own views about cardinal. Like he's saying that he and his brother are like plum trees that grow crooked over standing pools that are rich and overladen with fruit, but none but crows, spies, and caterpillars feed on them. Could I be one of the fluttering pandas? I would hang on their ears like a horse leash till I were full and then drop off. I pray, leave me. Now, these are the lines. Now, Basola is saying to Antonio that I pray, leave me. Now, these were the lines which I explained yesterday. These were the lines said by Basola for Cardinal and his brother. So now Basola is saying to leave me. And now, so here what we are going to read, these are again the lines from Basola. Like he's saying, who would rely upon these miserable dependencies in expectation to be advanced tomorrow? Like, Basola had expectations from the cardinal as he had served him previously, before going to complete his sentence for the murder. So he was still expecting, like he wanted to have any position in the court, in the cardinal's court, so that he would remain with him, and he should he should act as his panderer, and he should be, he should get money for his work. So now he's saying something like he's saying a kind of when a person becomes hopeless, or he's saying that, oh, who would rely upon these miserable dependencies in expectation to be advanced tomorrow. So now he's saying that we cannot depend, and I cannot depend upon them, upon these people. He's talking about Cardinal and Ferdinand, that I cannot depend in expectation, like I will get anything in future, or get any kind of promotion, any kind of money from them. So, what creature ever fed worse than hoping Tantalus, right? Nor ever died any man more fearfully than that hoped for a reason. Now, Tantalus, yesterday I told you that is a reference, that is a classical reference, and in very simple words, you would say that a person, who waits for something. So now he's saying, what creature ever fed worse than hoping Tantalus? Like there was a Tantalus, there's a story in mythological Greek, that this was a person who was waiting to at the time, it's a big story, so I'm just he was wait because he was left hungry and thirsty, and but he was left in between water and fruits, but he could not get any of them, so he was waiting for to get something, right? So that's why we are saying that who which he's saying, what creature ever fed worse, who would be, can be worst, than Tantalus, who was waiting to get something, yeah, or who was hoping for what? He was hoping for what? He was hoping to be pardoned. He was hoping so that he should get rid of that place, because he was there as a punishment. In punishment, he was sent at that place. So, and then again, he's saying, nor ever died any man more fearfully than he had hoped for pardon. So he was hoping, Tantalus had the hope of getting the pardon. So again, that's why, and now Bisola is comparing that Tantalus with, he is comparing himself with the Tantalus. Like Basola is also a kind of hoping for the pardon, like as he served the cardinal before going to galleys. Now again he wants to be closer to him. Again he want to get the same position in the court. So he's in that hope. But now from these views, it seems that now, he thinks that it is something hopeless to expect from these people, like they are going to give you something. Now, there are rewards for hawks and dogs when they have done our service, but for a soldier that hazards his limbs in a battle, nothing but a kind of geometry is his last supportation. Now he's saying even dogs and hawks are the birds which prey, on other animals. So he's saying even dogs and hawks, they also get rewards uh, for what they do for us. As people have pet dogs as their pets. So when we have dogs as our pets, so we also, we take care of our pets, and we give them the reward, right? So he's saying even those dogs and hawks, who give us services, we give them reward, but there isn't any kind of reward for a soldier who does something for you. So he's saying that because he did murder, he was a complicit um, uh, to cardinal. He did that murder um, because of cardinal, because cardinal had ordered him to do that. So he was in the service of cardinal. But when he did that thing, and he went into galleys to complete his punishment, but he did not. Now he's saying that I'm not getting the reward, like cardinal is now ignoring me, he's not giving me anything or any position in this court, right? So he's saying, but for a soldier that hazards his limbs in a battle, so he's comparing this thing, himself, or a soldier, are with he's comparing himself, he's the courtier of cardinal, but he's comparing that courtier with the soldier of a war. Like when a soldier goes on war, so he gets wounded there. He his limbs are sometimes cut in that war due to injury. So he's saying, so when soldier he becomes lumbless, his lumps are cut in that, or he becomes wounded, but he gets nothing in reward. And it is like hazards, but for a soldier, that hazards his limbs in a battle, nothing but a kind of geometry in his last quotation. Now, why is he using the word geometry? Uh, he is saying he's saying geometry because he's comparing the geometry with the crutches. Crutches are the tools which give support to a man who doesn't have legs, or who has lost his legs. So that's why it he is comparing that soldier, that person are and the crutches. He's saying that when a soldier is on crutches, so he is having geometry. He takes the support of the geometry. He takes the support of the crutches to live his rest of the life. So, and Delio doesn't get the word geometry, so Delio repeats like geometry. So Boslan, I, it's something, a kind of, as we say, yes. So Bosla, I, to hang in a fair pair of slings, take his letter, swing in the world upon an honorable pair of crutches, from hospital to hospital. So in these lines, Busola is saying that yes, when a soldier becomes, when a soldier becomes wounded, or he uh, loses his legs, so he gets the support of the crutches, and he goes from hospital to hospital for the rest of his life, right? And then here ye well, sir. So he's saying, live. You can say that live well, sir. He's Vasola is saying to Dalio, and yet do not use scorn us. He is giving. Now, Basola is wishing him Delio best, like, fair ye well, sir. You should live a good or a happy life. But again, he's warning to Delio that you should not laugh on people like us. He's saying, yet do not use scorn us, for places in the court are but like beds in the hospital, where this man's head lies at that man's foot, and so lower and lower. So in these lines, Basola is warning to Delio that you should not laugh on others, laugh at others, because this thing can happen with anyone, and he's saying that living in a court is just living in hospitals. So a kind of, here he is using the imagery, like as 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 patients live in the hospital, so he's comparing the court with the hospital. But you can say that he's also talking about a kind of hierarchy. When there is in a system, in an organization, there is a kind of hierarchy. There's cardinal, and then is courtiers. So he's also talking about, uh, he is giving um, that example, are he's comparing with the hierarchy, like there are different people, are people of different levels in a court. But he is comparing the court with the hospital, as patients are there in the hospital. So he's Basola, the main thing is that Basola is saying to the Delio that you should not laugh at others, because this thing can happen with any one of us. Then Delio. I knew his fellow, now Delio, right? So I knew this fellow 7 years in the galleys for a notorious. And now Delio is giving us some more information about the Sola. I knew this fellow 7 years in the galleys for a notorious murder, and it was thought The cardinal suborned it. He was released by the French general Gaston Defoe when he recovered Naples. Right now, he's saying he's giving us more information about Basola. Didio is saying that I knew him. I knew Basola for 7 years, and he for a notorious murder. Notorious something which is linked any bid title, with any bid tagline, something related to something, um, we can say something bad, something negative, for a notorious murder. And twist thought, now it is actually, because this is old English, so in actual it will be like it was thought. So twist thought, it was thought that the murder, it was done on the actions of cardinal. So he's saying that Basola, he did not murdered anyone on his own, but this was on the action, on the orders of cardinal. So but then later on, he was released by a French general. Later on, Basola was released by a French general. This is the name of the general, Gaston Defoe, after the recovery of Naples. When Naples is a city, so when Naples was it was recovered, it was gained by this general. So this general released Basola. Okay, then Antonio. 'Tis great pity he should be thus neglected. I've heard he's very valiant. This foul, this is not foul, but this is foul, Foul. This foul melancholy will poison all his goodness. For I'll tell you, if to immoderate sleep be truly sad, to be an inward rust unto the soul, if then doth follow want of action, breeds all black malcontents, and their clothes wearing, like moths in cloth, do hurt for want of wearing. Okay, now this is Antonio. He's talking about Bisola, like this great pity. He's having pity on Bisola. So he's saying he should thus neglected. I've heard, he's saying he is being neglected, but he's saying I've heard about the valiant is someone who is, you can say, a kind of brave person, as when we talk about the soldiers. So brave soldier, like he's talking about the a kind of bravery, a kind of something positive. And okay, he's very valiant, but uh, again, this foul melancholy will poison all his goodness. For I'll tell you, if to immoderate sleep be truly sad, to be an inward rust unto the soul, if it then doth follow want of action. Okay, now he's saying with this foul melancholy, the meaning of the word will be sad, right? And foul is someone who is, again, um, uh, you can say the person who, just a minute. Okay, it is again a kind of a negative meaning. The person who is not a kind of good in his character, a kind of, you can say, the dirty, right? In simple words, you can say the dirty person. So he's saying this foul melancholy uh, will poison all his goodness. For I'll tell you, he's saying that he will poison his all goodness. Goodness he's talking about is valiant nature. So Antonio is saying he will destroy all his good deeds because of his male intentions. Now there's the word malcontent because of his mal intentions, because of his evil intentions, because here, whatever we have read about Basola, we know that his intentions and his thoughts are not good. So that's why he's saying that although this person is a good person, but due to his thoughts, due to his actions, he will destroy himself. So that is what it is being said in this whole in these all lines. If you again read this, if to immoderate sleep be truly said to be an inward rust, so inward rust unto the soul, it then doth follow want of action, breeds all black malcontent, and their clothes wearing like moths in clothes do hurt for want of wearing. So he in these all lines he actually wants to say, which I told you, like his black malcontents, his evil thoughts, his evil actions. So evil things breed something evil. Evil things result in evil, it produces bad consequences. And then he's comparing, like he's using the simile here, like warts and cloth to hurt for want of a wearing. So what does a moth do? He's saying that a moth destroys the cloth in order to wear it. But what happens in at the end, like that whole cloth is destroyed. So he is trying to get something, but as a result of his um, evil thoughts, he will destroy himself. Okay, now this is here scene 2. Okay, from here scene 2 starts. Enter Antonio, Delio, Ferdinand, Castruccio, and Silvio. Okay, now before moving to scene 2, I just want to show you the summary and the analysis which we did as we did last time. Okay. Just a minute. Okay, so this is how, this is what we did last time. So again, we want to do it. We did the first part of that scene 1. Now, okay, from here. So now Antonio, this is a kind of summary of the whole passage which we have read now. So Antonio changes the topic as he sees Busola, a former employee of the cardinal. Some of the part of it is from yesterday's lecture. So Antonio changes the topic as he sees Basola, former employee of the cardinal and known murderer, entering the room. Antonio then describes Basola as a man who satirizes and speaks against the court, but only because he lacks the wealth and power to truly participate. After a few moments, the cardinal enters, and Delio and Antonio stand still while the cardinal and Basola talk. Now Busola tries to talk to the cardinal, but cardinal is extremely dismissive. Busola believes he deserves better treatment, as he was formerly employed by the cardinal and ended up serving a sentence in the galleys. Now, what is galleys? It is written here: forced labor whose severity is second only to the death sentence, right? So, this is galleys. Okay. So, Busola ended up serving a sentence in the galleys while while in the employment of Cardinal. The Cardinal dismisses Busola and exits. And then Antonio and Delio approach. So Antonio asks Busola what happened in the conversation, to which Busola replies that Cardinal and his brother are like plum trees, rich with fruit, but only fed on by crows, magpies a kind of bird, crows, magpies, and caterpillars. He says that he hopes to be one of their flatterers so that he can reap the benefits, advance his social status, and then leave. Pasola remarks that dogs and hogs get rewards for battle, but soldiers only get slings and crutches. He compares places in court to hospital beds and then exits. Right? So this is what the summary of the first scene. And now if we see the overall analysis, of the first scene, how would you analyze the first scene? This is how you are going to analyze it. So Antonio's at the very beginning of the scene, from the very beginning of this of the scene, Antonio's opening phrase of the French court sets up a comparison to the Italian court, which contemporary audiences would have associated with sophisticated corruption. An ideal court, he says, should spread goodness throughout the country, but the structure of government is such that by nature it is susceptible to poisoning by way of corruption or abuse of power. From the very start of the play, we are told that death and suffering have the potential to cascade downward from the head of a government. And then as we move on, Basola apparently takes a critical position in respect to government and courtly affairs, but Antonio believes this is only the case because Basola lacks the money to be a courtier or a noble. So Basola, we also saw that Basola was also complaining about the court, but in actual he was not complaining because of something good or he had any positive intentions or he wanted to improve the things, but in actual he wanted his own benefits. The implication here, one that is reinforced later, is that the cardinal ordered Busola to commit the murder that landed him in the galleys. So it is being told here that the murder was committed on the orders of cardinal. This is an early indication that cardinal is corrupt, though he tries to preserve his image by ignoring and not associating with Busola. So this is how we can know that in actual this was Cardinal who was behind all Busola's actions. So Cardinal is corrupt, but why was he ignoring Busola? He was ignoring Busola in order to to make his image to portray himself as a good person. So it was just he was just trying to portray himself as a good person, but in actual he was not a good person. Then the crows, magpies, and caterpillars in Brusola's imagery are all bad omens. It omens means bad signs. Okay, omens are something bad signs of future. Something is going to take place, but which will not be good. So crows, magpies, and caterpillars and bassolas imagery are all bad omens, again hinting at the sinister nature of Cardinal and his brother. Always melancholy and contemplative, Bassola laments the way he is being treated for his service to the Cardinal, which he compares to that of a soldier. Bassola, unhappy, comparison of the court with a place for sick people also reinforces Antonio's characterization of him as someone who criticizes the court because he is largely left out of it. Right? So now, okay. So today we are going to start scene 2. Okay. Now it starts. Now there's Delio. The prisons begins to fill. You promised me to make me the partaker of the natures of some of your great courtiers. Now, this is a dialogue between Delio and Antonio. Delio is saying to his friend that you promised me that you are going to tell me that nature are, the characters, the personalities of the people who are in the court. So now Delio is reminding to Antonio. Then Antonio, the Lord Cardinals, and other strangers that are now in court, I shall. Here comes the great Calabrian Duke. Now, Antonio is replying that he's showing he's pointing towards the presence of other people. So he's saying so the other peoples are here. I'm so here he's saying I'm going to tell you, but there are other people. So just wait. Then here comes the great Calabrian Duke. Now we are starting with the dialogue of Ferdinand, who took the ring of a nest. So he is asking question from his courtiers. Ring, he's pointing towards a game, right? He's talking about a game. So he's saying who took the ring, who won that game. So Silvio, Antonio Bologna, my lord. So Silvio is answering that Antonio Bologna, it was Antonio who won that sport again. Then Ferdinand, our sister Duchess, great master of our household, give him the jewel. So now he's saying, oh, Antonio, he Ferdinand describing, or he's talking about Antonio, like our sister Duchess, great master of our household. He's talking about Antonio. Give him the jewel. So give him the prize, because he has won the game. So give him the whatever the prize you want to, whatever he wanted to give. So he said to Silvio that give him the prize. When shall we leave this sportive action and fall to action indeed? Now he's a kind of showing our he is, he wants to be portray himself as a person or a practical person, who wants to do something in actions, who want to be practical. So he's saying, when shall we leave this sportive action and fall to actions indeed? So because just before this he was talking about a sport or a game, so now he's saying, when will we leave these things and we'll perform real actions? Now he's talking about something war, or he's talking about wars, when there's a head of the person who is he always engages in such kind of activities. So he's saying, so when will we leave these all sportive actions and fall to actions indeed? Now, Castruccio, methinks, my lord, you should not desire to go to war in person. So now Castruccio, one of his courtiers, he answers, methinks, you can say like as we use now, like I think. So he's saying, methinks, my lord. Castruccio is saying, I think you should not desire to go to war in person. So Castruccio is advising to Ferdinand that you should not go to war in person. Ferdinand. Now for some gravity. Why? Why, my lord? Now Ferdinand is asking that why? Why should I not go to war? Or why, can I not go to war? It's true. It is fitting a soldier rise to be a prince, but not necessary a prince descend to be a captain, right? Now he's saying that it is okay uh, to to go to war, to do a war when you are a soldier, but not for a prince. He's saying that for a soldier it is okay to go to war, but it is not good for a prince to become soldier or to start the war. So this is how he's saying a prince descend to be a captain. So he's saying it is fitting a soldier arise to be a prince. So he's saying that this is okay, to become a prince from a soldier. When your levels are increasing, when you are getting higher positions, when you are getting more ranks in your court, so it is okay to become prince from a soldier, but not necessary a prince descend to he's saying that it should not be that a prince should descend to be a captain. It is not good that a prince should be a soldier. Now Ferdinand, no, Ferdinand doesn't agree with Castruccio. No, my lord, he were far better do it by a deputy. Now Castruccio again, reiterates his position, like he's saying no, that this thing can be done better by the deputy, of any prince. So he's saying that if you can do this thing, you can take part in any war by your through your deputy, but it is not necessary to go yourself in person, but you can hire a deputy for this thing. Okay. Now Ferdinand, why should he not? Why should he not as well sleep or eat by a deputy? A kind of uh, sarcastic remarks. He's saying like when Castruccio was saying that you should not go, you should hire a deputy. So he's saying that in this way we should also hire a deputy for a eating purpose, for a sleeping purpose. So this is how he's using these words, like why should he not as well sleep or eat by a deputy? Okay, then this might take idle, offensive, and waste office from him, whereas the other deprives him of the honor. And then he himself is replying that this is not something good. Like, hiring a deputy for such thing is not good because this thing deprives a person, deprives a prince of his honor. Then, if you are hiring your deputies for such things, so you are not going to get that honor as you usually get, right? Then history show, believe my experience that realm is never long and quiet, for ruler is soldier. So again he is enforcing his own position, that believe my experience, that with my experience I can tell you this thing, that realm is another word for kingdom, that realm is never long and quiet, where the ruler is soldier. That if wherever when ruler becomes a soldier, or when a ruler attends the wars, he involves in the wars, then there isn't any kind of calm or peace in his kingdom. Then you cannot maintain the peace in your